and the barriers will crumble under all of my force will fall. Let's make them crawl. And when we finally meet the king, there will be no ghost for him. We shall end it all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Learning Fives. This is week number 3. This is another NA show match between Like Sa Dude and Name Not Found on the blue and red sides, respectively. My name is Blaster Boy, and I am joined here by Can Opener Dude and
Hi, I'm here.
hello.
I was adjusting my chair and it was very loud, so I had to keep my microphone muted there for a second. Hi, we're here. There's games happening. Things are happening. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well. All right. So we are into Champ Select here. We are getting through some of the bans. We got Fizz and Graves taken off the table so far. So and Lucian now taken off the table as well for LSD. So what do you really take from these bans here, Can Opener?
Well, so far, what I can tell you is the Graves. Graves is obviously one of the top junglers right now, so that's a very general ban. Fitz has seen a resurgence in play in both the mid and top lanes recently. Specifically in the NACS tournament, he was played and was not played very well, I might add. But
I think he was played in EU as well, to a little bit more success.
Yeah, but it has seen a resurgence. I'm pretty sure that there was supposed to be a ban. Was there supposed to be a missed ban there for red side?
Well, okay, not that I'm aware of. So I'm going to assume
they're just really confident.
No, yeah, unless I'm otherwise informed, I'm going to assume that was not intended, and they simply ran off the timer there. But Galio will be their last ban, as Lulu's taken off the table by LSD as their final ban. Now we're going to get into these picks here. So there's still quite a lot left up on this table. On the table here, still a lot of very high tier junglers, Gragas and Lee Sin notably, both still open, Kha'Zix and Rengar as well. So there's still quite a few options here if we think about just the jungle list on its own. There's really only one ADC taken off the table as well. There's a lot that we could see from these first few rotations.
Yeah, I mean, Lucian is the top tier ADC right now, and Lulu is absolutely enormous in the current meta, so having both of those taken out is kind of important. Galio is less is less of a, oh god, this guy's very strong, we need to get rid of him. It's more of just a, we don't know how to deal with him yet, get rid of him kind of thing. His Q is definitely getting nerfed at some point because it does ridiculous amounts of AoE percent health damage. I think they may have already nerfed it some. So that's what goes without saying. The Zyra pickup, I do like this. Assuming, of course, if I can talk first, assuming second that the team of the blue team, like Dude, is going to be going for a more bot side oriented comp. Because if your bot side is stronger than your top side, you do want to make sure you get a strong support for that. However, on the other side, Name Not Found has picked up both of their bot laners, a very, very strong poke lane, a very safe lane in Ezreal and Karma.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the Zyra will be very interesting to see because I feel like she's kind of volatile. She either does she pretty much always does incredible amounts of damage regardless of how she does because she's just weaving in damage constantly. But in lane, she brings so much power, so much aggressive power in that support role, way more damage than any other support, of course lacking in the utility department in exchange. But since she does so much damage, she's either really, really, really strong and oppressive, and she still might get that off early on, but she may not be able to carry that all throughout the game. So I'll be interested to see what ADC they pair with this, with Ezreal and Lucian both off of the table. Coming to mind, there's still Varus, there's still Ashe, still Caitlyn. There's a lot of other options for ADCs, and I'll be really curious to see what they pick up, but we're flying through some of these other picks here as Hecarim and Jarvan both locked in for LSD, and Darius locked in for the top lane, very likely, of Name Not Found.
Yeah, these picks, Jarvan and Hecarim, both very, very strong AD picks. I expect them to go for a very heavy AP mid laner to complement the fact that their top laner and their jungler are quite heavily AD.
Yeah.
On the side of Name Not Found, we do see Rengar picked up as well. Darius and Rengar, again, very heavily AD, very bruisery kind of champions. They're also going to be looking for a very strong AP mid laner, most likely. However, both Karma and Ezreal are magic damage threats. Ezreal's Q and auto attacks obviously deal physical damage, but the rest of his abilities and his ultimate deal magic damage, which makes him a mixed damage threat. And Echo and Ahri would certainly be two strong AP mid laners.
Yeah, that's
complement these teams.
That's a lot of magic damage coming through, assuming that is the Echo also locked in. There are other options still, though. I mean, again, just coming to mind real quick, they talked about Xerath a bit in the lobby. Orianna's still open. Syndra is still open. There's a massive list of champions that you can still go through that are all pretty popular right now. Maybe none of them quite as popular as Ahri, though, but all of them very formidable opponents. Just a few of them that I named there. And I'll be interested to see what Zero to Hero locks in.
I do think that Echo would be the best choice for them here out of the ones they've hovered so far, simply because Xerath is very, very weak against Ahri. You have to play very far back in order to utilize him in any way when you're going up against an Ahri in the mid lane. So they do lock in the Echo, which I think is the best choice because he has enough mobility to kind of play on Ahri's level. And beyond that, he also will have very successful roams the same way that Ahri would. So I do think that is going to be something we will have to watch is this mid lane's roam potential, especially once they both hit level 6. It's going to be interesting to see which ones get off the better roams and whether that does tend towards the top lane to deal with this kind of going back and forth bruisery bully matchup between Darius and Jarvan, or head towards the bot lane to try and alleviate some pressure between the Ashe Zyra and the Ezreal Karma.
Yeah, the bot lane, certainly two formidable lanes, and both of these ADCs will have huge impacts on the game. I feel like they're both massive chunks of their team's damage. Having that, having some of those tankier top laners and junglers as well, with Jarvan Hecarim, Darius Rengar, although the latter two are on the higher on the spectrum of damage, but generally tend to go tanky. I kind of want to see them go pretty bruisery here and not fully focus on damage or fully on tankiness, so that they can still play to their champion strengths, but also aren't really like severely hurting their team by having a full damage composition, because it seems like tanks are going to be a pretty big deal with both of these. Again, very high damage ADCs, but they generally take a very long time to ramp up. They're not very bursty. They like to take their time with some of their damage.
Well, one thing to consider here is that the two tankier members of Sadud here, Jarvan and Hecarim, are both dive tanks and dive bruisers. What they do is that they just go right in the center. And they're very wombo combo in that regard. I mean, this whole team has a very effective strategy of Jarvan ult into Hecarim ult into Zyra ult into Ashe ult into Ahri has already killed everyone. So they've got a very strong team comp built there, and they're going to be diving very, very well. However, on the enemy side, on the side of Name Not Found, you have Rengar, who's going to be trying to assassinate, and if he can get that off, great. Karma and Ezreal are going to try and stay back and provide artillery support. If they get dived on, Ezreal can somewhat get away, but Karma won't be able to hardly at all. And then Echo, of course, he can go basically wherever he wants, so that's fine. But the thing here is that their tankier members, Rengar and Darius, Rengar dives in, blows his abilities, to keep it PG, and then either dies or somehow manages to get out with a Karma shield or something. And Darius, when it comes to team fights, he has very little ability beyond being super far ahead and just being able to cleave through all the opponents in a single hit. Mm-hmm. So assuming that this top lane does not go incredibly in favor of Darius early, I expect that as the game goes later on, the diving potential of Sadud is going to tilt the game in their favor with the draft that they built.
All right, well, we will keep all of that in mind as we do load onto the Rift in the next little bit, guys, but we're going to throw it to a very short music break while we do finish the spectator delay and load onto the Rift. So don't go anywhere, we will be right back. Alright guys, welcome back to Learning Fives. We have loaded onto the Rift for game number 1 between Like Dude and Name Not Found. This best of 2 show match series. And players are rolling out, items have been purchased, some a little bit later than others. But here we are nonetheless. So, action will be breaking out soon.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. I mean, this isn't an EU show match. This isn't a Jin Air show match. So hopefully we will be seeing some action in the next 30 or so minutes at the very least.
Yeah, I hope this is like your show match, because holy crap, that was that was intense, man. This is the first time, for the viewers, this is the first time I've actually gotten to talk with Blaster here since he did that show match. That was intense, man.
Yeah, those were pretty crazy. I've got to agree with you there. So I don't think we really got to the mid lane too much in Champ Select. So I want to get an idea of what you're thinking here of Echo versus Ahri. Who do you think is going to come out on top here based off of item starts, based off of champions, and what factors do you think will play in mostly to determine who's who here?
Well, I think a lot of this is going to come down to how they utilize their level 6 power spike. I think as far as the early lane goes, assuming one does not go particularly aggressive, they should just be able to farm around each other. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of damage in both of these champions early, but I don't expect either of them to do anything particularly massive until level 5 or level 6, assuming that the junglers don't try and come in. That will completely change the game, because Hecarim in particular will have a lot of influence on this lane. Mm-hmm. As Rengar, not so much.
It's very difficult for Rengar, for anyone that's maybe not familiar with how he generally works. It's very difficult for him to gank his mid lane before level 6, before he has that ultimate to help him get in there, since those bushes are so far away. But maybe the junglers will break out into a skirmish in between now and level 6 or so. We'll see. Okay. Well, that was decided pretty quickly. A phase dive right into a turnaround charm from Soul Invictus. Fantastic ignite to turn that right around. And I mean, not even really much of a turnaround. Honestly, it was kind of one-sided for the moment that he dove in. Zero to Hero now on the back foot in this lane. He picks up boots, has to burn his teleport to get back to lane as well after burning the flash to attempt and get out. This is suddenly looking really, really ugly for this Echo. He's gonna have to play back now. So that changed the whole dynamic. Throws everything you just said about the mid lane really out the window because of that early aggression, unfortunately.
Yeah, what that means is that Soul Invictus is going to have a very easy time in this lane. I mean, Zero to Hero didn't really lose a whole lot off of that back because it was so early. Mm-hmm. Off of that death. He will be behind in gold, obviously, but until Soul actually goes back and spends that gold, it doesn't do anything for him. And in fact, that actually puts Zero to Hero ahead, because Zero to Hero has gone and spent what little gold he did have already. So, pretty interesting little situation there, where as long as Zero to Hero is able to keep this lane pushed and keep Ahri, Soul Invictus, in this lane, Zero to Hero actually has a bit of an advantage. If not in gold, then at least in onus.
Yeah. The other potential issue, though, I will say, is potential experience, which shouldn't be too much of a problem because they're pretty much dead even in creeps that they've killed. But now, here is Gladius coming in with a Rampage, going to knock Zero to Hero right back to his turret with a very clever phase dive. He does get out of there cleanly, so that's the first bit of jungle pressure that we've really seen. So we see top laners butting heads in their lane right now. Pretty big XP lead, it seems, in the favor of the school, and an absolutely massive mana lead for him right now. So these fights, they're pretty trivial for him.
Yeah, that's one thing to notice here, is that Merrick Mace is almost completely out of mana. and the school has almost half his mana bar still left. This is very, very important for this matchup, simply because Merrick Mace has to use his Q to trade in lane, and he has to use it to farm occasionally too. And without that, he loses any sort of pressure that he has in this lane. And losing pressure versus a Darius basically gives him the lane, because there's nothing. Darius already has the tools to take over a lane, even if you are trading even with him, and you're giving him an even greater advantage. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. One thing I did want to highlight is that Nightvolt actually took a very strange jungle path. I believe he went Wolves, Blue, and then Gromp. And by the time he actually got to his Gromp, Gladius had already taken his red and his blue buff. So now it's kind of equalized. The gold, of course, is pretty stable, despite the fact Nightvolt did take the Krugs. So he is going to have a tiny bit more gold and experience lead over Gladius for just a little bit of time. But that is an interesting jungle path, but it has worked out so far, despite the fact Gladius did get a gank off, but nothing really came of it, so nothing really going on there.
Level 6 is hit, and actually the Chrono Break was already popped in that lane, so Zero to Hero just taking the fight right to Soul Invictus, trying to push that item lead that you were talking about. It looks like he's gone back again. Oh, that must have been what he did. He went back to base and then Chrono Breaked back into lane. So he went back, bought that Doran's Ring, bought that Dark Seal that we currently see on him. And, I mean, it almost resulted in a kill on Soul Invictus. He wasn't quite able to take it all the way. And unfortunately, now that item deficit comes in off of that First Blood, off of keeping just a touch ahead in the farm on the side of Soul Invictus, and that's a needlessly large rod. First, as the School flashes in up top, is Zero to Hero looking to make something happen elsewhere on the map. The parallel convergence will not be landing, unfortunately, and he phase dives all the way to Merrick Mace. He's able to get out with the help of his flash. A flash for flash burn between these top laners off of the roam from mid.
Yeah, that was an excellently timed phase dive, and a little bit of a problem for Merrick Mace. He flashed at exactly the moment Echo's the second half of Zero to Hero's, I don't even want to call it, mobility on the move went through. So for anyone that doesn't know exactly how Echo's movement actually works, it's a dash followed by a blink.
Yep.
And the dash and the blink can both go over walls, go through walls, yada, yada, yada. But the dash is self-controlled, but the blink will follow any amount of distance. So a flash, a teleport obviously won't go through because a teleport is a different kind of movement, but a flash, a dash, a jump, any sort of movement ability, Echo will follow you the full distance. So if you lease in Q and then try flying through the air while Echo is blinking to you, he'll follow you the whole way.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, since Echo's movement... Oh, whoa, no, Nightvolt looking to make something happen in the mid lane, not quite able to pull it off. But yeah, TLDR of that, basically, since Echo's movement is instantaneous, he can follow any other movement that has a tiny little bit of travel time. Even though Flash is technically instantaneous, the distance isn't enough to break that movement. But anyway, we will see that interaction many, many, many more times through this game, and maybe even in the next, but right now Aurelion Soulfood going to get stunned up, and every bit of CC in this bottom lane is going to get dropped onto him. Triple ultimate burn, but it pays off in the end, and now this is going to be a great bit of control in the bottom lane for the side of Sadud. And they're going to be able to get some damage onto this turret if they'd like, but I feel like the recall might be the better choice. Zero to Hero dueling it in the mid. That's no Spirit Rush for Ahri. A Soul Invictus. Ignite is dropped, but Engine is stalemate.
Yeah, the use of...
Oh, whoa. Zero to Hero. Sorry about that. Zero to Hero really trying to make this kill happen, but he's just not quite able to pull it off. Alright, back to your point.
He doesn't have enough damage, but what I was trying to say is the Ignite here that Soul Invictus has, little bit interesting. Ahri, obviously, you can go a couple different summoner spells, but personally, I do feel in this particular lane, the Ignite probably is not the best choice. Going against an Echo, I would probably recommend either a Barrier or possibly Cleanse. Normally with Ari, you can get away with going Ignite, but I think in this lane, there's really not a use for it, because with his ultimate, it isn't reduced by Grievous Wounds, and he can use that to escape tick damage, so I don't really feel that the Ignite is really the best choice here. But, you know, they're the people playing the game, I'm just the caster. If it works for them, then it works, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Ignite kind of automatically enables a little bit more of aggressive play, and we saw that pretty much result in the kill pretty early on before, so it may not be entirely meant just for the lane. It helps you take over the lane and control the lane and get a lead and stick with it for sure, but it can secure you kills pretty handily later on as well. Whereas something like the cleanse, I think the barrier would probably be the best of the options that you mentioned, just because the cleanse is so iffy with the echo. If you are paying attention and he doesn't have like a super good parallel convergence, then you're probably not going to get stunned. So you're probably not going to have very much to cleanse throughout this game if Echo himself doesn't take Ignite.
Well, I think that's all up to interpretation. I do agree with you completely on all of those points. Really, though, this matchup is kind of odd for what I'd expect for an Ari versus an Echo, because, wow.
What a beautiful charm from Sol Invictus. Completely stops the phase dive. Phase dive, when he blinks to the target, he winds up an auto as soon as he lands there. So you can, on paper, if you time it almost perfectly, completely stop that auto from going through. No damage on the phase dive, but Tox is going to get deleted down bottom. Ash Arrow into a lot of other spells from the Zyra. Maybe not the most fruitful, but they do get the kill regardless as Gladius burns his ultimate once more, and his ghost this time as well.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
that was a good kill. Like, yeah. I think he actually killed him with the burst damage from the ultimate.
Merrick Mace, he's going to get out cleanly. Blast cones to safety just for extra security as well. A beautiful escape.
Yeah, the flag and drag is a very, very nice combo. But what I was going to be getting at with the matchup here in the mid lane is that normally this matchup is not decided in lane. It's pretty much draw between these two champions, assuming that they have equal skill. Mm-hmm. It's normally decided by how good the ganks from the junglers will be. And in that instance, I do feel that Cleanse would be helpful, because coming in, not necessarily against these two junglers, but against a jungler with some form of hard CC, Cleanse can help you out tremendously, especially when you're going up against a laner with a lot of burst like Echo. But this matchup in particular, I do think the barrier would have been the best choice. But again, they've got the cleanse, and we'll have to see how that works. In fact, right now would probably be a very good use for it, assuming that Sol Invictus did want to try and tower dive, but I would not recommend it.
Yeah, in that situation, it's pretty dicey. Zero to Hero still has a decent amount of mana, so he could just instantly chrono break back if you dove onto him there. It's incredibly risky. They didn't know where Nightbolt was either, so you don't want to risk diving under the turret and then having that Rengar, or really any jungler, coming up and just kind of running you over in one of the weakest points that you'll ever have in the lane. But what do you take from this top lane right now? Oh, maybe have to hold that thought. They are deciding to fight right about now. School burns the flash from Merrick Mason. He kind of walks back in there. Flag and drag out. Flash in from the School. He has that apprehend coming up 2 seconds, but he decides against it. He's charging incredibly low, but not quite able to finish the kill.
Well, this is basically Darius the Lane, the movie, the book, because he just does this. He can really go aggressive at any point when the lane minions are in his favor, and just do something like what he just did. Just start smacking you a couple times, throw out the apprehend, throw out the Q, just get some damage off and see how it goes. And there's very little way to counteract that. More or less, as basically any laner in the game. There's a few that can counter it, like Trundle.
Oh,
there's a gank.
Looking to take this fight up top is Gladius. He wants to get this gank down, but they don't have too many tools available to them. I don't really know why the Cataclysm didn't come out, though. You'd think they'd at least use what they have, as Aurelion Soul Food going to get blown up down bottom. Stranglethorns thrown down after that Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but I mean, he just kind of heals and runs himself out of there with really no issue.
Yeah, he did have to burn heal there, so he is going to be very, very low with no defensive options to him beyond his support's shielding. So he is going to want to back out of this lane. He is ahead in farm, but he's about 200 gold behind.
Yeah. Oh, School maybe taking potentially bad fight here, but no, Nightvolt, this is not today. As I mean, School pretty much killed him outright. I think he was going to die to the bleed regardless, but Nightvolt is just there to keep it nice and clean. Quick kill there. And Merrick really has to play safely in these fights. I keep saying School is taking these fights. It has been Merrick picking them the past 2 times that we've seen. But they've just really not quite panned out. Solonvik is taking a beating in the mid lane, 0 to hero. Maybe looking to get that Chrono Break down aggressively, but the Ignite is dropped, and it's enough to push him out once again.
Now, Soul is using his Ignite effectively here because he does see that the Corrupting Potion is running on 0 to hero, so he does use the Ignite to at least mitigate some of the heal that will be coming out from that. So that is pretty that's pretty useful of him to be able to pull that off using the utility of a damage summoner spell, which is nice. But yeah, again, I feel like this mid lane's come to a stalemate despite the fact that Soul is ahead here because they seem to be able to both do a significant amount of damage to each other.
Yeah, it's just teetering on the edge of going one way or the other, and honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised at this point if one of these fights just spills over just slightly and they both end up dying in some form or fashion. School looking to fight Merrick here. Now he's actually looking for the fights. And, whoa, 0 taking a lot of damage over the wall. Aggressively going for that ward. We didn't really have lane control. A little bit greedy there. But he will be able to, well, he was about to recall, but he decides against it to shove this wave in instead.
Yeah, he does notice that his lane opponent has gone back, so he wants to make sure that does bounce on tower before he himself goes back. It's a good idea. And yeah, he's about 600 gold behind right now between that kill and about 10 farm difference. Exactly 10 farm difference. So he wants to take every advantage he can here. If we look across the board, we can actually see that it is farm advantages for name not found in every lane except that mid lane. And the jungle, obviously. So we see that Sadu's advantages are going to be that mid lane and the jungle, because Gladius on this Hecarim has done a tremendous job getting ahead and getting good kills here. And Sol Invictus has done a tremendous job holding this mid lane down and making an even matchup into a relatively uneven one. So I feel like those are where they're going to focus. Bot lane hasn't been doing a lot. They've had to burn 3 ults every single time that they wanted to get a kill. They did get the kills, but they haven't been able to particularly pull off anything massive. That's a lot of damage.
Huge trade, yeah. Huge trade there from 0 to hero on Sol Invictus. Not even really much of a trade. It was just kind of handing out a bit of a beating there. Very well played from him. Executed the combo really, really well. And got out cleanly with the help of that passive. May not mean much in the end, though, unfortunately, as Ahri does have built-in sustain, and now the trade turns around.
I was nodding there, but you couldn't see it, so... Oh, yeah, that's happening.
Oh,
yeah, the school's
Merrick.
doing more stuff.
Whoa, Merrick, yeah, getting apprehended there. He is able to get out once again. I mean, there's not really been all that many kills in this game so far. We're 19 minutes in, and the lanes look pretty much identically as they did 5-10 minutes ago. I mean, you wouldn't even know that laning should be ending, objectives should be taken soon, because nothing has really been touched outside of quite a lot of minions and a couple champions here and there, but we might see these junglers, well, potentially collide a little bit if Gladius had not left. Nightvolt coming in with that ultimate now, looking to make something happen. Here's his opportunity. That's a flash from Telfair, but it might not be enough to get him away. There's the Bullet Strike coming through. Tox is limping away. He has just a little bit of health. The shield comes down, and it's enough to keep him alive for now. But Merrick finishes it off. Nightvolt nowhere to go in that Cataclysm. And there's just simply no response possible from the school. He's not in a good enough spot, and Zero to Hero and Solo Invictus just could not get out of their lane. They couldn't get away from just bickering with each other here.
Yeah, this mid lane has been very self-contained right now, but that kill in those kills in the bot lane have opened up Dragon for the side of Sadu, and with the first tower also going their way, they have the Brick Gold, they have the Dragon, they can start to rotate into different spots across the map, which is going to benefit them very much.
Whoa, Zero to Hero looking to turn this around. There is an Ignite dropped, and it's ticking away. Solo Invictus has nothing to gap close, though, and I mean, they're just not going to take this. They're just not going to quite be able to close that out on either end once more. Gladius, though, getting a bit caught out by Nightfold here, and all of these leaps coming through, but he burns the cleanse, realizes he needs to get out of there. Solo Invictus a little bit scary at this point, already having that Morello's and the needlessly large rod, and that's going to turn into even more if we look at the gold. 1,500 gold in the pocket of Solo Invictus. In spite of these pretty erratic recalls, the Dragon and that first turret have definitely contributed to that gold total as well.
I do want to highlight Nightvolt's movements there as Zero to Hero was getting chunked out. Assuming the school will let me.
Oh, yeah, he very well may not, and he may not let Merrick Mace get out of here with a ton of health, but it doesn't seem like he can quite cancel that flag and drag. He's using the Apprehends very early on, and I feel like the only way he's going to get a kill is if he can either, like, undo the flash with an Apprehend or cancel the flag and drag, but, well, maybe Merrick looking to use it aggressively will cost him his life here as he's ticking down. I don't know if it's going to be enough. He needs one more tick, but it just isn't there. And he gets out once again, School burning all of his spells, all of his mana. But that's really been the culmination of this game that we've seen so far. A lot of things burned. Summoners, ultimates, every spell that each champion can bring to the table, and just really no result.
Yeah, that was it was very, very strong showing by the school there, but that's really been the story of this game, is that he's able to have this commanding lead, but just isn't able to close the deal on Merrick Mace. He's able to get this farm lead, but then Merrick Mace is able to go to the bot lane, get 2 assists, and now you look at it, he's still behind in gold, but is not as much as you'd expect for being 50 CS behind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I wanted to say about Nightvolt here is that his jungle pathing as Zero to Hero was getting chunked out allowed him to be in the area to stop Gladius from doing the dive that he wanted to. And now he's made his way to the bot lane. I do think that Nightvolt's pathing has been on point for most of this game. He's been in the area. He has 100% kill participation.
Yeah,
so
I mean, he has 100% of the kills, and he might try to take that a little bit further, but that's the Ash Arrow coming through. Rem will go down in the end. Gladius able to clean that up. Zero to Hero, I feel like he's going to need to snap back here. Yeah, there it is. The Chrono Break coming through. Proto Belt as well. He has the flash available, but he's just going to use the phase dive instead, and he will get out cleanly in that 1-for-1 trade. That was pretty close to going really ugly. If that Chrono Break had not quite worked out for him, then he very well could have gone down. Merrick now fighting with the school. No time to talk. Fights in the top lane. Apparently. Now,
one thing we should mention here is that the only armor Merrick Mace has is these Ninja Tabbies. And because of Darius's changes, I believe it was 2 years ago now.
Oh yeah, just about.
With the Juggernaut changes, his passive now applies as physical damage instead of true damage, which means that it does actually apply the Black Cleaver passive as well, which is very, very effective. But Merrick Mace might be in a bit of trouble here, though. We've said that many, many times.
Yeah, he has a pretty tanky Jarvan. He's a pretty formidable target, all things considered, with that Titanic Hydra. And he's really just trying to stay safe, but Zero to Hero needs to be trying to stay safe here, as Gladius has something to say about his push in the bottom lane, but I don't think he's going to live much longer. He's not going to have much of a comeback. Whoa, that's a pretty greedy arrow, and Gladius just takes it away. It doesn't even give him the assist.
Get sniped with an enchanted crystal arrow.
Telfair really wanted that kill, but
Yeah, that sounds like
Gladius
something
says
Jump
no.
would do. All right, there's things happening mid lane.
yeah, this is a siege coming through as Tox gets bursted. Soul Invictus looking to pull the trigger, go forward with Gladius. That's another kill onto Nightvolt. He just gets popped. I think they may have both popped. No, there's no Thunderlords on the Hack Room, but the Thunderlords from Soul Invictus did end up getting popped on that kill onto Nightvolt. So he gets bursted a little bit quicker than anticipated. Not that it really would have mattered for his sake, unfortunately, but this is a big push coming in the mid now, and it is 30 seconds on this dragon. If we hop down to that pit real quick, it's another Cloud Drake. So we're going to see...
Heckram likes it.
Yeah, definitely, and we're going to see if this is taken within a reasonable amount of time. They have about a 3-minute timer from when this dragon spawns to take it. Before the next one will not be an Elemental Drake. We may only see 2 Elementals this game. We may only see the one, depending on how quickly this goes. 0 to Hero looking to take this fight onto Gladius, but he's not quite able to close it out. Now Tox has to be the saving grace, but even with that exhaust dropped, he cannot do it. And 0 to Hero really just not having a good time now, particularly against his Hecarim, who... running a Cinderhold Trinity Force right now. He is pretty much unkillable for this Echo, it seems. He loses out on that dual dragon. Should be the next focus, but we do see some members up top.
Yeah, this Gladius is 5-0 right now. Nightvolt looking to possibly get a dive off here.
Think he's going to get anything here? No, he's in the wrong neighborhood. He's walked right into the arrow and gets run over by Gladius, and now Aurelion Soulfood going to get locked up as well. There's the Arcane Shift out. He has the Iceborne to kite. He's going to be dropping those Mystic shots in, but Soul Invictus flashes forward with the charm to seal the deal. Now another Arcane Shift, Flash, and Heal Burn from Aurelion Soulfood for him to get out of there. And he does escape successfully. Really solid play from Soul Invictus, though, and this push on the mid turret. Tier 2 might not be something a 0 to Hero can stop. He was not anticipating that charm. Tier 2 mid now falls, and this dragon is pretty much free for the taking for LSD whenever they really want it.
Yeah, this is going. Everything's gone in their way. This game is broken wide open in their favor. They are now about 7,000 gold, 6,500 gold ahead, and there's really not a whole lot they could do. I think, despite the fact that Merrick Mace has been objectively losing this lane in top lane for the vast majority of the game, he's been able to contain the school, who has a lot of power built up on him, being Darius. He's able to contain him and keep him there. However, we might see an objective trade going down here.
Oh, yeah, the teleport coming back from Merrick on the top lane. He's just trying to grab that wave. There is no vision here yet. It's only 28 minutes into the game. You don't expect the team that's behind. Now they know. They have that hawk shot down. It went through the pit, so they know that it's going down. They just don't know how much time they have, as Gladius is now going to be chased off by Nightvolt. He's trying to peel and turn this around, but he just goes down, and now that's the smite gone. The Baron left at 2,300 health, and they only get one kill on the back side of it. Soul Invictus in the front line trying to duel it out, but not quite able to do it. I feel like this is going to be completely one-sided, but maybe it's for the opposite team. I thought that would have been a complete stomp for LSD, but they just weren't able to pull it off. But Telfair trying to get this last kill. Oh, he got the volley. He didn't believe it, though. He didn't believe in himself enough. Oh, man. What a crazy fight. 4 for 4 in the end. The ADCs, the only 2 surviving members. That looked like it was going to be an absolute disaster for Name Not Found. But they end up fighting it out, and all of a sudden, 0 to Hero, living up to his name in that fight, getting 3 kills, and suddenly having a much more formidable score, a much more respectable score, and a much more formidable item lineup.
Yeah, that was very, very well done to him. But also props to Telfair, who really has not been doing a whole lot this series. He's landed one or two good arrows, but then coming out big, being able to kite around Zero to Hero, who admittedly was a bit low, but who had just come off of 3 kills, had the momentum behind him.
Oh, yeah.
And then Telfair being able to
Whoa,
basically do
Nightbolt!
good damage.
No, biting on more than he could chew. That Rengar ult change severely hurting him there. You haven't played Rengar since he got reworked a little while ago. He only reveals one person with his ult at a time now, so he only saw Merrick there on that ulti. Now Tox, wishing there was only one person in the area, but it is going to be 4. He will go down 0 to Hero, now caught out as well. He's going to be taking quite the chunk to his health bar. And now all of a sudden this Baron control is coming through for LSD, and they're going to start it off with both the jungler and the ADC down in the bottom lane. Nightbolt's going to be coming in pretty soon with that ulti, but it's just not nearly close enough. This is all on the Echo, and he doesn't quite steal it. That was really, really close, but not quite able to close it out. Chrono breaks back. He gets out with his life, so no risk there, but unfortunately also no reward.
Yeah, that was a good try there. I really would have felt like he could have probably done more if he would have just gone in earlier and tried to delay the Baron, as opposed just try and pull them off of it so that they could have time to get Nightbolt and Aurelion Soul Food over there to actually have a team fight. But I don't know. It was worth a shot. But now Sadu has
no
the
Tox,
Baron.
not again. No, failed flash over the wall. He can't quite make it. Gladius takes him down with the help of Soul Invictus, and Gladius is going to get dunked, but I feel like he's just going to walk right out of there with really, not too much of a worry for him. 0 to Hero. He really wants this kill. Aurelion Soul Food finds it as he is on the retreat. Chrono Break is in the perfect spot. They've got to respect this here. There it is coming through. Rem doesn't quite go down as quickly as required. As Nightfall gets picked on the side, the school getting kited by Soul Invictus, and Aurelion Soul Food has to heal and flash and arcane shift just to get out of there. And that is the one-sided fight that we've kind of been looking for a little while now. We've seen a few picks. We saw that really even fight around the Baron, but I think this is one of the first super decisive fights, like huge, everybody is involved fights that is completely one-sided for LSD as they are taking down this top lane inhibitor turret with their Baron minions. And they will get that down. Inhibitor, now the focus, Aurelion Soul Food gets completely deleted. Fantastic flash charms for Soul Invictus this game, I've got to say.
Yeah, very, very strong showing here. He's been able to land a lot of really, really good ones, and flash charms in particular, which aren't the easiest to actually pull off.
Yeah, he's actually been like charm flashing too, like throwing the charm and then flashing to follow it up, I think. At least on the one a little bit earlier, but regardless of the mechanics behind it, still incredibly impressive. Nightbolt trying to do what he can here, but can't quite execute onto anything, unfortunately. They really...
See, this is what I was talking about Rengar's inability to really get a team fight going, or to get an assassination going once the game progresses, because he's been trying very, very hard to get these going, but the later the game goes, the more the enemy team is grouped up, and Sadud has this amazing amount of CC and team fight damage that there's really not a whole lot Nightbolt can do. And we've seen in 2 team fights now that Telfair is able to position himself correctly to stay alive through everything and be a threat even after Gladius and Soul Invictus are out of the fights. So he really doesn't have one specific target to go for. If he goes for Telfair, then Soul Invictus and Gladius have already won.
What a great
But they're getting a second inhibitor already.
Yeah, what a great split. Merrick Mace and Telfair in the middle lane. Taking down that inhib turret. Nightbolt stunned up, but he's able to run his way out of there. Gladius in the back lines, only locking up Tox and this Rengar, though. Telfair trying to retreat as best he can, and he's in a great spot now. Soul Invictus diving back in with the Spirit Rush, not quite able to close out the kill on Zero to Hero, but nonetheless takes out the school. Now this middle inhibitor is the focus, likely going to go down in just one more hit, and there it is. Telfair doing whatever work he can in this fight, and it is quite a lot. He's at a massive 4-item spike right now. Gladius is the focus of Zero to Hero. The Summoner heal comes through, and the Courage of the Colossus keeping him alive a little bit longer. Telfair trying to save his life, but not quite able to do it. Now running through that turret. On the retreat,
this could be bad for him.
Tox, yeah, but on the other hand, he could just try and turn it around if he wants. It is 4 items to 3 in his favor, but there will be no such opportunity. Ashe, the most mechanically intensive champion regardless, so maybe doesn't quite have that outplay potential, but anyway, he gets out safe and sound. Not entirely clean for LSD, but pretty respectable nonetheless. They get 2 inhibitors off of that Baron, and now that's another Elemental Drake for them. As soon as they kill that, is going to guaranteed at this point be that Elder Drake coming up next. So this can't really be the focus legitimately for Name Not Found, but the Elder, should it ever spawn in this game, at the rate that this is going, it very well may not. Has to be something that they're worried about, but it doesn't even look like LSD is particularly worried about this dragon right now.
Yeah, I'm just seeing them possibly go for a 1-3-1 here. They really should have Hecarim on the top side right now, but it looks like they're just going to ram it up in the bot lane.
Yeah, it's Ram a little bit caught in the mid lane, will go down before the redemption can land, so that's a pretty good pick on the side, and that's a respectable amount of the initiation, but, I mean, who really cares? Nightvolt in the front lines, there's no cares in the world on the side of LSD about whether they have their support or not. Telfair getting apprehended as the Ezreal goes down. He's just standing his ground here as Gladius comes in with the Fear to clean it all up. The bot inhib turret already fell, and that's a triple kill for Telfair. Truly delivering in these later fights on this Ashe, just in pretty good positions, and at this point he's just so far ahead, but maybe not the best position right now. He does live regardless, and that Nexus will fall. What a game.
All random, all Mabot. Yes, that is exactly what was happening there. I was very much impressed by how Telfair stepped it up as the game went on. Ashe is a very good scaling ADC. She has a strong early game because of the slow, guaranteeing constant crits when you can hit your enemy. But her late game is where she shines, and Telfair played that very, very well. But if I had to give an MVP for this game, it does have to go to Soul Invictus, and it really was a tough decision between him and Gladius, because Gladius did so much work. He had more than two-thirds kill participation in this game. But you look at Soul Invictus, he was landing a charm every single fight. He was able to blow up a priority target every single time he got into a fight with them. And it was his ability to pick out these targets and get them down and make it a 4v5 almost continuously that allowed Sadu to be able to advance this game forward out of that very stale laning phase and into a very dominant mid and late game.
Yeah, so with all of that said, guys, we still have one more game guaranteed in this series. It is a best of 2 after all, so we will have to see if Name Not Found can tie it up 1-1. But before we do, we're going to throw it to a break for a little bit longer. And we will be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
I do not tolerate cowardice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Learning Fives. This is game number 2 between Lexa Dude and Name Not Found. They have now swapped sides, and some of the bans are already coming through as, well, we see Darius taken off the table, actually by LSD. So this is pretty interesting. A nice respect ban onto the school, even though he ultimately didn't have a super successful game last game. He certainly pulled his own weight and delivered as best he could, but his scoreline really did not reflect that, and it didn't seem like it made too much of a difference in the verdict of the game overall. Some of these other bans coming through, though, very, very quickly. Ari, Zyra, Lulu taken off the table. Fizz, repeat ban once more. And we will be seeing one more ban, hopefully, for real this time. What do you take from these bans so far, though, Can Opener?
Well, there's some definite adaptations here. Both Zyra and Ari getting banned out from Sol Invictus and Rem Greatest Waifu, respectively. We do see the Karma ban coming out that is targeting Toxilori, so we will see some new picks from both sides. Graves being one of them.
Yeah,
I was just about to say that this is very important. Graves is not banned. If he's not in this game, I will eat a shoe, but there he is.
Yeah, not seeing him banned here, pretty surprising. I'm kind of surprised by the Karma ban as well, because, I mean, if we think back to last game, Gladius kind of made that bot lane have anything happen at all, and it was completely in the favor of LSD. I'm really surprised by some of their target bans here. And Lucian's going to be left up this time as well, with all of the adjustments made by both of these teams. So this is going to be a pretty interesting game, and it looks like Merrick will be going back onto that Jarvan, confident that he can deliver something more this game, even maybe even more than last time, and not just constantly be pushed out of lane and sent back to base.
Yeah, one thing I want to highlight here is that Telfair gave us a very, very strong performance on on his Ashe last game, especially as it went into mid and late game. So putting him on an even more powerful ADC in the form of Lucian is definitely very exciting for me. I'm excited to see how he plays this. We do see the Braum and pickup, which is a good strategy against Lucian. You do not want Lucian and Braum together, so picking him up on the other side, considering both Zyra and Lulu are banned out. Very, very good adaptation here by Name Not Found. This Katarina pick, though, interested to see how that will work, because Zero to Hero, he did decently on the Echo, especially when it came to late game. So I think that playing Katarina would be just as good.
Ooh.
That's going to be a Yorick pickup for the school, which will certainly be able to go toe-to-toe with Jarvan.
Yeah, definitely a very different, a pretty different pick. Not quite as oppressive as the Darius, but similarly bruiser focused. They're going to be saving that mid lane pick, very rightfully so, along with their mid laner, or along with their ADC rather, for their last rotation. So I wonder what's going to be locked in here for LSD. So it looks like they're hovering the Kassadin right now, which he just got buffed this patch.
He did.
He seems pretty significantly stronger from what I've seen of him. Much more common, if nothing else. But oh man, we may not see that locked in at all. Oh, there
It is. It's just locked in a different spot, but we do see the Elise pickup as well. That's a fairly interesting pick, especially into a Graves, because now they have Elise is very, very strong in the early game, and Graves is pretty much strong at every turn of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to play against him, you do want to get on him before he has significant damage. And either that or try and get around him by just making sure all of his lanes suck so that he has the solo carry, which makes it very, very difficult for Graves. So I think that this Elise pick is a good idea going into it because you can't necessarily beat Graves at his own game, so you try and go around him, go over his head, or just shut him down early so he can't get into his play style.
Yeah, I definitely think like that is a pretty good decision here. And oh man, whoa, will we see the Xerath this time? It's into a Kassadin, and they know this for certain. ADC is also something up in the air right now, and it's going to be a Jhin. This should be interesting. It's been a little while since I've seen a Jhin. A few patches.
This is one of the worst bot lane matchups I've ever seen. You just picked a Jhin with a champion who needs his ADC to attack rapidly into a Lucian and possibly a Nami. Also in the mid lane, you have the Kassadin, one of the most mobile mages in the game, the mage that has the ability to counteract other mages' damage and put out significant burst damage by jumping up in front of you against the one mage in the game that wants to stay away from you at any means possible. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, what the heck are you doing, Name Not Found?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a dangerous. It's certainly a risky composition to play. It's kind of dangerous. It's going to be difficult to play. It's going to be like the last game. There are ways that you can win a game by not playing with engage. It's not unheard of. SKT does it, but you have to be like, it's not something that nobody does. It is something that exists at this point in time. However, only the best team in the world does it when they're significantly better than their opponent. It is so difficult to play a game, to play a composition without very much or any really reliable engage. That's the trap that we saw Name Not Found fall into last game. I'm kind of feeling like they're falling into that here as well with those lane matchups that you just mentioned, with the anti-synergy to some extent that they have in the bottom lane with Jhin and Braum versus a very aggressive, oppressive lane in this Lucian Nami. This is very risky of them, I feel like, and if they just want to learn as much as they can, more power to them, but I don't feel like they're going to have a very easy time if they really are looking to win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put too strong a point on it because the Braum passive is still an advantage to have. And even if you don't have champions that can specifically synergize with it, it's still a very, very strong passive, one of the strongest in the game. But again, you look at the team comp, and there's not anyone in particular that can proc it very well. And I think that's going to be a major problem in lane and continuing onwards. However, they do have a ton of damage and a ton of front-loaded damage at that. Graves, Yorick, Xerath, Jhin are all burst champions, and I can definitely see them rolling over Sawdude if Sawdude cannot get their sort of damage up, because their damage is much more sustained. Kassadin is heavy burst, of course, and Elise is to an extent as well, but they also have somewhat sustained damage. Jarvan has a bit of burst, but he does need to get off auto attacks and his flag and drag to really do significant damage. And Lucian just does constant DPS for time and time again and again throughout the team fights. So I really do feel that if Sadude engages on their foot and they allow themselves only to take fights where they know they have an advantage, I don't think that there's any way that comp-wise that Name Not Found could come out ahead in a fight against these guys. But again, it's going to come down to skill, it's going to come down to game knowledge and mechanics, and it's going to come down to which of these two teams can engage the fights on their terms. Because if Name Not Found can do a lot of picking, if they can use the advantage of that burst damage to catch people out and snowball a lead from some point on the map, then they certainly do have an advantage in front-loaded burst damage. But it really comes down to which team is able to play to their strengths better.
All right. So, all of that in mind, once again, we are going to throw it over to a very short break, guys. We're going to get through the rest of the spectator delay and through the loading screen, so do not go anywhere. We will be on to the Rift in just a moment. We'll be right back. Alright guys, we are on to the Rift for game number 2 out of 2 between Sadude and Name Not Found. My name is still Blaster Boy. I am still joined by Can Opener Dude.
Still,
yes. It's not changed between now and Champ Select. Just gotta reaffirm that sometimes, you know?
Yes.
Sometimes there's last minute swaps. Actually have had that happen once. Where I had another caster hot swap in between Champ Select and the game. It was really, really interesting. But
that would be fun to viewers, especially if you didn't say anything about it and everyone's just like, that doesn't sound
oh no,
right.
we didn't. We didn't. Completely different introduction in the game from what you heard in Champ Select. It was a pretty interesting situation.
In any case,
that did not happen here.
I'm just making sure that there's nothing interesting happening in the chat here or in our chat. No, our Twitch chat is still useless and
shots.
Okay, yeah, we just got to remember to report the blue team's coach because he would not let Aurelian Soul Food play Graves. So everyone remember that. It's a sad day.
How many viewers? Everybody's got to log in and report him. So that would be 12x.
We're not going to tell you his name, but
12x just from the chat, 9x from the game.
Yeah, that should get him at least a perma ban. Maybe they'll come to his house and just straight up unplug his computer and take it away.
Maybe. But in any case, something I actually kind of wanted to touch on about comps is This time, there's really not a lot of reliable engage on either end of the spectrum here. So we were talking about the risks with some of the lanes maybe not lining up properly for Name Not Found. But in any case, I feel like we should also touch on the fact that LSD doesn't really have super reliable engage either. And there's two really long-range champions here that can just sit super far back. But it might not matter right now. In the lane as Cerulean Soul Food gets bubbled, has to heal and flash away, and Tox is just helpless, unfortunately, to be able to save his ADC from any of that damage in the end, as he's only level 1 at this point. Now just taking 2. Brutal trade, not unheard of from Rem and Telfair on this Lucian Nami, though. This is something that I personally have a ton of experience with as of late. Zero to Hero looking to take this fight in the mid, and there's the cleanse pop from Soul Invictus, and he might end up going down. The caster minions really want to take him out, but they're not quite going to be able to do it. Flash burned by Zero to Hero, and he escapes from that gank as well, while nearly turning that fight on its head in the lane.
Well, one thing to notice here, I just learned from this game that Merrick Mace as Jarvan's auto attacks will one-shot your schools. So that does help quite a bit in dealing with them.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is incredibly helpful. That saves you a lot of time dealing with these ghouls, especially with that built-in shield as well. He's going to take negligible damage, I feel like, really throughout the lane, as long as he's dealing with them in a timely manner. Gladius, he really wants to do something here. That was a ping from the red side onto him. They have no idea that he's there for sure. And they're trading aggressively just like they always have been. They're not selling it out quite yet, and there's the bubble onto Tox. But the Tide Caller's Blessing just comes through a little bit too late. Flash burn from Gladius. Same for Tox. Nothing huge from that gank. Flash for flash.
Whew. One thing I want to highlight here, while the school and Merrick Mace
it never fails. They are always going to fight whenever you want to make a point. All right, I think we're okay.
Yes.
Take a breath.
Okay.
Here we go.
Whew. Soul Invictus did decide to go. That's God. Telfair.
Taking the fight down bottom now. Telfair dashing in as School getting knocked up in the top lane by Flag and Drag combo from Merrick Mace, and he's really delivering on this Jarvan so far. He has turned. He's flipped the script here, pushing the School out of the lane himself this time. Gladius was looking for another gank down bottom. Recall's in the far brush. Okay, I think we're okay now. Everybody's under turret or recalling. Go.
L5's confirmed scripted, by the way. Any case, Soul Invictus did decide to go for the cleanse this game, so good adaptation there. He's able to pick up on our caster banter there and pick that up.
Yep.
But I do want to point out here that these early levels are a bit difficult for him because he does not have his mobility yet. So he is going to have a bit of trouble, but he will have stronger sustain than Zero to Hero will on this Xerath. So I think that coming into level 6, he should be fine. But these early levels are a bit unfortunate. Meanwhile, in the top lane,
yeah, Merrick Flag and Drag out of that wall. I don't remember what it's called, unfortunately, offhand. Nonetheless, he does get out of there very
Dark
cleanly.
Procession.
Dark Procession.
Which doesn't make any sense. It's not processing anywhere. It just kind of pops up. Just because of dark pop-up. I don't know. Dark pop-up.
Dark pop-up.
Dark Rising. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't name the spells for Rito. Fortunately, I don't seem to either. Gladius looking to take something up top, but they don't know that Nightbolt's here. They're going all in onto School, and they're going to be able to take him down. That's the first blood, but just as quickly turned around by Nightbolt, looking to make it 2. He's resetting his dash here.
Ooh.
It's coming out. Yeah, there it is. He doesn't even need it. So the cocoon goes wide, unfortunately. And what a great turnaround from Nightbolt. Fantastic timing on that lane, and there's that good jungle pathing that you were talking about last game coming true again.
Yeah, Nightfold has had amazing pathing throughout both of these games so far. So I really do got to hand it to him. No matter the outcome of this series, he has very, very strong jungle pressure. And this is a guy to watch as we continue on throughout the season, because I think he's going to continue to develop this skill, because especially considering that this is, silver, bronze, elo kind of. And to have that kind of presence of mind to know exactly where you need to go is a very, very good sign for things to come for him.
Yeah, and if there's not another fight to break out here, to emphasize that point a little bit more, he has 3 times, nearly 4 times the farm in the jungle of his opponent. If you look at just the farm, 40 to 13 CS. It is incredibly one-sided, and if we look at the gold, I mean, disregarding those 2 kills even, he still has like 600 gold in the lead here just from jungle creeps, which is massive. But right now, we do see more important things happening as Merrick Mace getting pushed out of lane by the school, who pops 6 and just takes the fight right to the doorstep of this Jarvan, and he's pushing him all the way back, keeping him contained under this tower right now.
Same old song and dance.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's going one way or the other this time, which is slightly more dynamic than the last game. But
dynamic.
I mean, yeah, it's a little bit more dynamic than last time, but it is still, I mean, as you just said, the same old song and dance. It's one guy wins the trade or the other guy wins the trade. And nobody dies unless there's jungle involvement. Nobody dies, but Merrick Mace maybe changing his mind here. He's caught up in that dark procession and has to get away. Sol Invictus diving in with the ultimate mid, but Nightvolt shows up on time again.
Yeah, again, Nightvolt just always on the move to be able to help out his teammates. Really, if you want to see what the team fights are going to happen next, watch Nightvolt, because he seems to be almost prescient in being able to tell where they're going to break out.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on him. We'll figure this stuff out.
Very, very inspiring play from him for sure, and hope we can see that pay off a little bit more this time. 2 kills up over his opponent, or 1 kill up over his opponent rather. All the kills once again for his team though. The first 2, just like last game.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. This laning phase has been a little bit more exciting than last game. Latest in the top lane.
Definitely. Gladia's looking to drop that cocoon, and there's the Cataclysm to lock down the school again. He had flash, but he couldn't even get to the edge of that wall. He just had no business being there, no business escaping. And what really solid gank from Gladius. Good cocoon accuracy and everything. Pays off very, very well, and Nightvolt was not there that time. He was on the bottom side of the map taking his own red buff.
Yeah, that was the first time I really feel throughout this game that Nightfold has not been able to significantly participate in one of these dominant plays. So, I mean, everyone has their down moments, so we can't blame him too much for that.
Yeah, but no, there wasn't much he could have done there. He was just taking his jungle as he should be, but well, there might be a fight breaking out in the mid lane as 0 to Hero and Sol Invictus going toe-to-toe. Gladius has something to say, and he has the flash to bring to the table. Sol Invictus nearly going down and just barely able to escape that tower shot. If that had come through, that would have been a fantastic trade for 0 to Hero. But he does go down regardless.
Yeah, I think I'm going to actually rewind and watch that because...
we have a little bit of a fight down bottom right now. Rem is taken incredibly low as the tidal wave has actually dropped. Nightbolt cocooned up in the mid, and I'm just waiting for this curtain call to show up down bottom. I feel like he should be dropping it pretty soon, but no, they've both healed up quite a bit. The school teleporting down behind. Here's the curtain call to make it happen. Flash! Wow, I can't remember the name of Brahm's ult all of a sudden. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? Glacial Fissure. It's not like Brahm's been in the game for like 3 years or anything, guys. I swear. But anyway, Glacial Fissure, Flash Glacial Fissure coming through from Tox to 100% secure that, and they get the kill onto Telfair at the cost of School's teleport. So very good use of that teleport there. They get 1 kill for nothing. If we take a look at the farm in the middle lane real quick, it's something I want to touch on. It is a 20 CS lead for the school, or for Zero to Hero rather. As he's the one actually in that lane. Mostly, I feel like the Soul Invictus trying to, well, having a bit of difficulty farming early just due to how the lane ended up working out, but also trying to get roams off as well unsuccessfully.
Yeah, it's very interesting sort of matchup here. I do feel like Soul Invictus should be trying to roam a bit more, but he seems to be focused on trying to get Zero to Hero done here.
Oh, Nightfall turning around with the collateral damage, just dropping Soul Invictus where he stands. Now Gladius is the focus, and he has absolutely nowhere to go. Double kill over to Nightfall.
Yeah, Nightfall very, very strong right now. His 4 kills. This is looking actually very much in favor of Team Not Found here. And like I said, they need to play... they need to play an advantageous game here if they want to win with this kind of team comp that has very little engage and almost negative synergy. They have to play around their tremendous amounts of burst damage and their ability to kind of just smack people around individually. And that's what they're doing. Merrick Mace, however, is actually doing fairly well for himself right now. So I do want to give him props for that. But the rest of the map seems to be going pretty favorably towards the blue side. So that's a bit of a, well, actually it's not so much of a change from last game because blue side was doing pretty well last game too.
Yeah, it's true, but it's very interesting to see almost a completely different looking team, it feels like, to some extent. As, I mean, the fights have been pretty back and forth in the mid lane once again, but they've been less explosive since it's not two assassins butting heads, and they've not been like nearly killing each other and then both backing off because they're afraid of dying. They've just been going in for smaller trades here and there, and then the junglers show up before anything can really happen self-contained. We're about 14 minutes into this game, and I feel like we were already at more kills than we had at 20 minutes last time, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's already looking like a much more interesting game, in spite of there being fewer assassins, fewer explosive champions. But now there is a roam up top from Zero to Heroes. He's trying to turn this around. Gladius diving in and diving right back out, leaving Merrick Mace right in his own cataclysm there, all alone. Zero to Hero gets the kill, but not without falling. So 1-for-1 in the end, and Soul Invictus now on the roam onto the school, potentially. Yeah, Gladius in a fantastic position, and the school oversteps. Incredibly dangerous for him to step forward like that. But Nightfall's just shoving in the mid lane in the meanwhile. He's trying to get whatever he can, wherever he can, and it certainly seems to be paying off. He's going to put a big dent in that turret.
Yeah, Graves a very, very strong tower pusher, and he can do significant damage to the towers themselves because of how his buckshot now works. One thing I want to highlight about that fight up in the top lane, Merrick Mace was able to pick up the kill, which was great, but Soul Invictus was nowhere. And the fact that Zero to Hero on Zerath, one of the slowest champions in the game, was able to roam the whole way up. Yeah, let's fight out.
We have, Zerath coming through, trying to steal away the blue buff, but not quite able to secure it. Now Nightfall in a really bad spot, getting stunned and taken down over the wall by the culling. Merrick Mace teleported in onto a ward, instantly stunned in his place. And now this dragon will be started. There are still a lot of members here. Curtain Call still available. There is no vision in the pit, however, for the side of Name Not Found. But there it is coming through, thanks in part to that Scryer's Bloom. I don't think they're going to be able to get it here. No, Gladius smites it away. Granted, a little bit late. Would have been a huge risk if there had been spells available. No, Gladius! He walked back in for the ward.
Little too cocky there.
Yeah, very much too cocky there. He goes down for that. Cost him his life. Not going to dwell on that too much, but right now the top turret falls in return, so they get a kill for a kill, and they trade a dragon for the top tower. that's pretty great, honestly. It's still a 2-tower lead for Name Not Found, and they're looking to be in a much better position in the last game. If we were to see how they perform through the rest of it, we cannot count like Sadude out quite yet.
Yeah, this is still anyone's game here. This is much, much closer. Even though Name Not Found has a tremendous advantage, I cannot in good conscience say that they have a commanding lead just yet, simply because I know the power.
Nightvolt coming in mid again. Sorry to cut you off there, but this kill's looking to come through. There's the snipe, unleashed power. What a beautiful prediction through the flash and multiple rift walks. 0 to hero. Once again living up to his name with that snipe. Oh, now.
It's very, very strong decision making there, and being able to zero in on a Kassadin of all people is very, very good, though he wasn't really juking all that much. So, I don't know. I do feel that Sol Invictus more or less gifted that kill with his pathing there.
Yeah, I guess he probably just felt secure in knowing that, okay, I broke vision. I've used like 3 or 4 blinks to get out of there, like halfway down the lane. There's no way he's going to be able to find me here, but just a simple backstep even would have been enough had Sol Invictus been a little bit more ready for that snipe to come through. Slight misplay there for sure, but still fantastic, very long range and blind snipe from 0 to hero. Very respectable. Another fantastic turn from Nightvolt as well. I don't want to miss that point again, because he showed up in that lane again as soon as Sol Invictus rift walked forward. Nightvolt was there to try and turn that around, and he did contribute a decent chunk of damage to the fight in the end as well.
As in now about 3,000 gold in favor of Name Not Found, and with that, the way that mid lane fight played out, I do feel like the momentum is slightly in favor of Name Not Found, but see, they're able to pick up a top tower. I say we because I'm still trying to put myself in this side of in the red side's position here and see how they would be able to come back from this. And I think the important thing to do here is the split push.
See a bit of a fight mid. They're not going to be splitting with their junglers at least. Not with their mid laners either. There's a collateral damage coming through, and that's going to be enough to take down Sol Invictus. Unleashed power, looking for the snipe on the Gladius. He's in the dark, but he still gets taken down. Another fantastic snipe on the last shot from 0 to hero, and all the jukes come through, but they're just simply... He needed one more. He needed a few more legs there to be able to get out of that one. Oh man,
yeah, give him
what
10
another
legs,
turn. Oh, I'm sure that would have made the difference for sure.
Yeah. I looking at it now, like this keeps going back and forth. Like Merrick Mason's able to pick up a turret in the top lane. That's great. They definitely need to be able to crack this turret line. But then Name Not Found is able to get a significantly good team fight off in the mid lane, trading 2 for 1 in their favor. And the gold is still about 3,500 in their favor as well. So it's like it keeps going back and forth. Like I keep seeing Sadude's like, oh, we're going to pull this back in, but then nope, Name Not Found is able to shut them down and keep pushing forward. I really do feel that at this point, Name Not Found is kind of found their middle ground. So unless, barring something very, very major, I think that at this point, Nightvolt's just going to take over the game.
There's a fantastic curtain call and everything coming through. All the shots landing in the end. And that is another pair of kills over to Nightvolt. As now 0 to hero up top looking for the snipes onto Merrick Mason. He gets it again on the 4th shot. Once more, Gladius gets dunked as well. That's another pair of kills for 0 to hero this time. This bot lane turret tier 2. Tier 1 has already fallen. Tier 2 will now be the focus. Name Not Found in a fantastic position. But Sol Invictus on this Kassadin walking up to the Zera very carefully and canceling his recall when he's likely even window shopping. There is a huge lack of confidence now from Sadude. This is a very different team from what we saw last time at this point in the game.
Yeah, all of the momentum is now in Name Not Found. They have complete control over every side of the map, and it's going to take a lot of very strong work and a lot of very strong play from Sadu to be able to turn this around. I feel like if anyone's going to be able to pull it out, it is going to be Greatest Waifu and Telfair in this bot lane, assuming you don't get caught out by Braum here.
I mean, when you've got a Jin on your team as Braum, you got to step up. You got to do the heavy lifting yourself. But now Gladius, might be getting locked down here, but the focus is a little bit split as Ram will be falling godlike. Is 0 to Hero on the Xerath, and here comes the repel right back down inevitably. There's nothing to save him. Oh, they're trying to give the snipe to 0 to Hero, but nope, he's focused on another target. Sol Invictus now jumping in, jumping out of the fight. Just nothing can be found on this Kassadin alone. And down the line, like Sadud is just kind of falling apart here, it feels. And this top turret is going to be defended successfully by the school, and this dragon will this time be going over to Name Not Found. What a fantastic set of fights for them. The last few minutes have been completely 100% all about Name Not Found.
Yeah, there really isn't a whole lot of proactive plays that Sawdude can do here. What they really need to do is start making picks instead of themselves getting picked, which seems like what is happening right now. So they do need to start to find...
Sol Invictus going in ham. Sorry. Back to your point.
Now that's basically it, is that they do need to make some picks there. And Sol Invictus does make a good effort there, but I feel like even that was a bit risky. He does not have the Lich Bane yet, so he is very, very far behind. It's 23 minutes, and he's just now finishing his second item in not even yet. It's pretty bad considering that 0 to Hero is already looking to build his third item. He's literally an entire item up on his lane opponent, and considering the score differential, that's not surprising, but the power that gives is just massive.
Yeah, and these deadly flourishes flying out all over for Aurelian Soul Food. And he has been doing some pretty good work this game. Sol Invictus diving in a little bit too greedy. Where is the Unleashed Power going to find its mark? Will it find its mark? No, not this time. Very close to it, but not quite going to be able to deliver. Redemption coming through. Redemption first Braum is kind of a curious choice, I feel. It's hard to argue with how powerful the item is, but I feel like it's not something you generally see on tank supports, but nonetheless, this dive is happening here and now. And we're just looking for one shot on the curtain call. Oh, Ram is caught out, spotted on the vision from the edge of that bullet. I know that makes absolutely no sense, but honestly, the shot that just barely missed the Nami was the most valuable shot of that entire curtain call. And that results in another kill, another turret going down. And now they're looking to potentially rotate top. 0 to Hero has a ton of gold, though, and he wants to go back, but he wants to take this fight as well as Knifebolt's caught out. But will it really matter? 0 to Hero blown up in the backline. Sol Invictus and Merrick are going to be able to deliver the damage. But now Jin has to be the focus. They have to take him down. Sol Invictus exhausted, not able to do anything here, going to get taken down by the school. And now this fight is turning on its head. The school is so tanky. Merrick falls, and now Telfair stunned up by the concussive blows as well. And there's just nothing left in the tank for like Sadu. 22 to 11 is the score at 26 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a pretty close fight. I've got to say, 4 for 3. But still looked really, really hopeless at the end. The middle was really the best part of that fight for like Sadud. They just weren't able to close it out, unfortunately.
Yeah, Telfair was doing tremendous amounts of work there, but despite Jin's reload mechanic, he was finally able to get the stun off on Telfair and get him down. So I feel like the main problem here is that Gladius was not able to get off the ground. And that's a major problem considering his Hecarim last game was a major, major part of putting the rest of the team ahead. In addition to that, I feel that Sol Invictus was also not able to do a tremendous amount of work the way he was with the Ahri. I feel that Ahri's hard CC, the charm, was able to enable Sol Invictus very, very, very well.
Oh no, Sol Invictus now the focus. We're talking about him right now, and Name Not Found really wants to take him out, take him off the map. He does fall. Another Unleashed Power snipe. Tox looking to finish off Rem, but Gladius fell on the front line as well, and I mean, Nightvolt's going to be able to heal this up, no problem. The Baron will be the focus now. I definitely agree with your point about the hard CC, the charms, just enabling way more aggressive plays for Sol Invictus. Casson really needs to get to late game where he can kind of one-shot people to confidently, fully be able to realize his power and dash in and blow people up. This Baron is getting low. At the moment, though, in the moment, the Baron goes down in the favor of Name Not Found. That was pretty close steal once again, but nothing quite coming to fruition.
Yeah, the culling does a tremendous amount of damage to these minions and neutral objectives, but it just was not enough in this particular instance. Merrick Mace has an opportunity here, but I don't think he'll be able to capitalize on it. Anyway, what I can really say here, beyond the point about Sol Invictus not having the hard CC and Gladius not getting off the ground, is that as the team fights have progressed, Subdued have not been able to give Telfair the advantages that they gave him last game. They don't have other threats.
Yeah.
Telfair is really the only significant threat to anyone on the side of Name Not Found, because Sol Invictus doesn't have enough damage to do particularly anything, and Merrick Mace is starting to fall off at this point because everyone's building their tanky items at this point. So really the only significant threat is Telfair, and with him being the only significant threat, it means that he doesn't have the ability to stand back and do the significant amounts of damage that he needs to do.
School looking to take a 3v1 here, and he has no support in sight. Telfair might end up going down to the ghouls. Nobody's dealing with him on the back line. The School is going to get the redemption, and he will be able to walk out successfully. 0 to hero now caught by Gladius on the side, or who's catching who here? It's really a mystery in the end. Collateral damage, the snipes not coming through quite yet. Curtain call being pulled out, looking to finish off the kill, but Sol Invictus is the one getting sniped, and now all of a sudden Aurelian Soul Food is taken down to snipe a Dilution. How did he find him there?
I wish I could tell you.
Must have seen him on the vision of the School. That was an incredible snipe again from 0 to hero. And Rem even goes down as well. Now they're looking to make it more as this bottom lane inhibitor has been crushed by the Maiden, by the Baron empowered minions. And they want to push this further. They've got 0 to hero and Nightvolt pushing in the mid. Gladius now on the front lines, caught out, concussive blows, stunned. He has nothing beyond the cocoon. Bottom inhibitor has fallen. Marek trying to dive in, desperately trying to save his team, but he's just not able to do anything. Now the Nexus turret's under fire. There's no one left that can really dive in here confidently and really stall this team. Telfair trying to take the fight right to them. Sol Invictus as well. But that's a cleanse, but that's a wall, buddy. You can't cleanse through that. 0 to hero is the focus of the backline. Telfair takes him down. Nightvolt's so low, but nobody can finish him off. There's no damage from Rem, unfortunately. And Sol Invictus, there's no hope left at this point. Just trying to get Nightvolt ruins KDA a little bit more, but that's about all you can hope for as the Nexus falls over. Name Not Found, even it up to 1-1 in this best of 2 series. What a game number 2.
Yeah, that was just a completely different team from Name Not Found than what we saw in the first game. Instead of falling apart as the as the laning phase ended, they were able to really strengthen themselves and come together as a cohesive unit, despite the fact that they, like we said in Champion Select, their team really didn't have a cohesive whole. They just had a whole ball of damage, but they were able to pull it off because they had superior macro play and they had superior mechanics on these individual champions. Without Sol Invictus being able to get in there and blow up a target that he was able to do as Ari in the previous game, without Gladius being able to pull off these clutch engages with his ultimate like he did in the first game as Hecarim, without those abilities that were enabling the damage from Telfair and enabling the damage from Sol Invictus, Name Not Found was able to use their own threats, specifically Nightvolt, who, by the way, is my MVP of this game. Nightvolt, always on top of the map, always around, always knows where to help his team out to put them ahead. And then Zero to Hero also coming out big with the constant snipes from across the map with his ultimate and being able to put out significant damage, especially after coming back after that very, very back and forth game one. So both of them played very, very well, but I do have to give it over to Nightfall because his pathing was just immensely helpful all across the map, and it was really his game to win, and he did it.
Yes, indeed. And what a crazy, crazy game number 2, guys. But unfortunately, we have to end it on that note, as Showmatch is pretty much always just best of 2s, so that's going to be it for us for tonight. Be sure to check back here tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, the same time that we started this stream tonight, to catch even more of the action. Let me pull up the schedule real quick. And we have Sayo Fan Club versus the New York Timberlands taking to the Rift tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. So be sure to come and hang out with us. Once again, hit that follow button on the stream if you would like to be notified of when we go live next. If you'd like to keep up with the Learning 5s program, or maybe even join it yourself, our Twitter and Discord are linked down below so you can keep up with all of the updates. And you can find full VODs here on our Twitch from the past few weeks, and all of our VODs since last July are archived on our YouTube channel, which you can find linked through our Twitter or Discord as well. Well, that said, once again, my name is Blaster Boy, and I was joined tonight by Can Opener Dude. Thank you so much for casting with me, buddy. But
it is my pleasure.
That is going to be all for us tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you guys back here tomorrow night.
Watching over me. Oh,